Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Richard Grannon and Friends, the podcast, where I talk to people about things. Today, we have with us Mr. PierreXO.
That's me.
And we're going to be talking about Pierre's life and loves and fears and desires and thoughts.
How exciting and terrifying at the same time.
Have you ever done a normal interview before?
No, man, I'm usually interviewing you, so.
It's usually the other way around. Have you seen any of these episodes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay, so I always start by placing people in time and space.
Okay.
A singular entity who is PierreXO. Mm-hmm. Where and when were you born?
I was born in Northern California.
Mm-hmm. Were you?
I was.
Northern California?
I was born in Northern California, then moved to Southern California for the second half of my life.
Where in Northern California are you from?
I'm technically I was born in Sunnyvale, then lived in San Jose.
Oh, shit.
Sunnyvale is a real town. Every time I say that, people are like, what? That's like from Barbie.
Yeah.
But it's not from Barbie, it's a real place.
It's a real place.
Yeah.
Isn't that where like Sons of Anarchy was?
Sunnyvale? San Jose?
North of San Jose.
Really?
I think so. Yeah. Maybe it's Charming was the town, but maybe that's a fictional town, but it was set and shot somewhere in Northern California. It's a lot prettier than, I think it's prettier than Southern California.
Yeah, and the people are a lot more chill. Like, even if you look at the hip-hop comparisons that came from Northern California and Southern, the Northern stuff is like a lot more silly.
Right.
It's a lot more fun. And then LA is a lot more rough, obviously.
Because of all the murderings.
All the murderings. But then you got quality stuff. You got the Tupac, the Kendricks, and upstairs you got the hyphy stuff. I don't know if you even know the term.
Hyphy.
Hyphy is like abbreviated for hyper crazy.
Okay.
And ecstasy was their substance of choice there. And it's about getting silly.
Okay.
You know.
Everything's silly.
Yeah, everything's really silly. So that was the first half of my life. Real silly.
The impression I got of the very limited stuff I know about Northern California is that though California is all lumped in as sort of one thing and one entity, basically people are talking about San Diego, San Francisco, and LA.
Yeah.
But Northern California is not really a part of that.
No, not really. It's like the understated cool brother of the family.
Right.
You know, and then LA and the Hollywood is like the loud, extroverted, annoying sibling, and the other one's like
gets all the attention.
Gets all the attention, but the other one has their shit together a bit better. It's a lot more easy to get along with, sort of a thing. So it was like half and half of my life.
So what age were you in Northern California up to?
What age? I believe it was 9 years old. The family's serial entrepreneurship, one of the businesses finally took off.
Right.
And then their companies really dealt with Vietnamese communities, and there was a larger one in Southern California. Mm-hmm. So when that started growing, and they're like, all right, pack your stuff, I'm going to Orange County.
Orange County. Yeah. And that's classed as LA, is it? Or it's just south of LA?
That is, oh man, my direction is terrible. South of LA.
What's a place?
It's south of LA.
It's south of LA. What's Orange County near to? Is that sort of Huntington Beach? Is that?
So Orange County is like a collection of other cities.
Okay.
So you have Los Angeles County, you have Orange County.
Oh, it's a different county.
It's a different county that's a bit more south, but that's like the people describe it as the Florida of California.
Okay.
It's like the more conservative, hickish version of LA is what people say it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, even though you've got Los Angeles right there, you're raised in a place that wasn't really LA culture, both in the north and then when you moved to Orange County. It's not fully LA culture.
No, I when people ask, I say LA just because it's really recognizable.
Yeah.
And maybe the stuff that I do just correlates better there, so it just makes more sense.
Yes.
But Orange County, it's like we were talking about earlier, real estate agents, startup agencies, missionaries, what else? Like kind of new money rich kids, real housewives, prescription drugs, that type of thing.
So you're from the area, but you have an external to Los Angeles perspective, really.
Yeah. Actually, yes. But I mean, going to LA was not any better than what I was, brought up in, because it's just the opposite end of the same type of drugged out, lack of cultural awareness, narcissistic type of stuff.
And would you and your friends go into LA to party, or did you just stay in Orange County?
I mean, occasionally, but I mean, there were phases where I would hop back and forth to LA for certain like casting things or some music video thing or I don't know, some trendy donut shop. It's just like they come out with one trendy food every like 3 months, and it's like, I don't know, an ice cream cone with pho noodles in it.
Right.
And then it becomes the new thing for 3 months, and then everybody brings their entire crew just to try this overpriced pho noodle ice cream.
Right.
And then that's kind of the thing that you do out there. Then you take like a photo with some wings on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always with wings in the background, right?
All the
You can
time.
stick it on Instagram. What? It's going to sound like a weirdly boring and practical question. How did you get into LA from Orange County? Did somebody drive? Because public transport, I found, is not fantastic there.
Mostly driving, which is about a 2-hour occasion.
Really?
From 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Right.
So that's all day.
It's not. That's to do like 6 miles of driving.
Yes. Yeah. But when there's no traffic, it's like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But
So you're still a way out from the city center of Los Angeles. Then 40 minutes drive.
yeah. But I just found out that there was actually, not just found out, but only until later on I found out that there was a train from Orange County to LA, but it literally runs from, I think, 6 a.m. to 10 in a.m. So it's like 4 hours.
And then that's it.
And then that's it. And then you have to wait till the next morning to take the train back.
Was it one of those hand-operated ones?
Dude, how unoiled the rails were. It was like watching Cloverfield.
Yeah.
The screeching of the railing. I mean, it was ancient.
Yeah.
But then I found out that some lobbying company, I think it was General Motors, that bought out the entire public transportation system of LA.
Yes.
So they can just promote more cars.
Oh, really?
Purposefully bought out the railway system
Yeah.
and then stopped using it or made it really shitty just to have more cars.
This is capitalism, my friends. This is
how it
why we
goes.
need socialism. It's a disgrace. So the reason why I'm raising that is because when people, you think of a place, like you think of Prague and you have an idea of it, but there's actual practicalities to it. And one of the strange things as a Brit, as a European, going to North County and being between San Diego and Los Angeles is it's not easy to move. There isn't an organized public transport system. But for foreigners to America, like myself, we think, but you have blocks because they weren't built around villages, they weren't built around like a well or a really nice cow, as we would here in Czech. It was organized and planned. So the cities are planned. So you think, well, then there must be beautiful public transport. No.
Yes. No. And it would be really easy to have public transport just because of the block system.
Yeah.
You don't have to do all the curves.
Right.
The different weird directions that a lot of European cities would have.
Yeah.
But for some reason, as easy as just rectangles, they couldn't put actual tramways and stuff.
Right.
So it just makes it really terrible. In fact, just recently on my TikTok, a lot of TikToks have been popping up of European visitors to the US, and it's kind of like a meme-ish thing where it's like, I decided to walk to the beach as a foreigner.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of TikToks of Europeans just on the side of the freeway in this narrow little sidewalk with nothing off in the horizon and just desperately just taking one step
taking
over just to
their
get to the
lives
beach.
in their hands just to do,
Yeah, one of the TikToks basically said, my European friends decided to take me, an LA native, to a walk to the nearest coffee shop, and we passed through Skid Row.
Yeah.
You would pass through gang neighborhoods and like all of these things. So it's literally nearly impossible to just walk to any location.
I think it's really tough for people to grasp that. Even just with Encinitas as an example, when my sister got married, all of the family went over. And so you had like 40 Brits there, and we were like, and they're all like, a lot of my family are into like triathlons, they're fitness people, they like walking, and they look on a map and they go, oh, if we walk from there to there, that's a 25-minute walk, we'll be fine. It's like, you're going to walk over active train lines.
Yes. Yeah.
With no fences. And it's just like, well, and I was saying to people, what happens if the train comes? They'll be like, well, you'll die. Like you will simply be dead.
And then even just visually, how spread out everything is. Like from one building to the next, like from one Starbucks to the next Starbucks next to the McDonald's, it's the same atmosphere, the same buildings, the same roads, the same fire hydrants.
Yes.
So it sends you into this weird psychological limbo walking there, because it doesn't actually feel like you're walking to somewhere.
Right.
So imagine like you're on a treadmill.
Yeah.
And when you're running on a treadmill, your visuals stay the same.
Yes.
And that's what happens when you walk in a lot of places in the States, because there's no visual change.
You just go Starbucks.
Yeah.
Fancy pet store, fancy clothing store, Starbucks.
Right. It's like it's been an hour and I'm at a Starbucks again.
It's kind of like a computer game, like GTA or something, but with less effort made to make the surroundings interesting and varied.
Right. Where since I moved to Prague, to walk here from to walk here to Prague Castle, it's a pretty long walk.
Yeah.
But during that day, if I have enough coffees and the weather's fairly all right, I'll do it within like an hour and not even realize how much I've actually walked.
Yeah.
But a half of that walk in America feels 4 times longer because there's no visual change.
It's so boring.
It's so boring. There's no visual change.
These are the, because people often, Brits will say to me, because I've been to America, I've traveled around America a lot, like, what's it like? And it's a struggle to convey, the subjective experience of being in America, because if you go there and you think it's going to be ultra foreign, okay, it's not like going to Malaysia. It's still English, same shop, same concept, but it's subtle things that just feel a bit weird.
Yeah.
Space is different in America, moving around is different. Basically, it's a car or nothing. And the other thing I noticed, which is why I started off by asking you about Orange County and whether you went to LA or not, is even though geographically things can be fairly close, there's a tendency to stay within the village.
Yes.
So people in Encinitas, what's the town up from Encinitas? I think there's Carlsbad and there's another, is it called North Beach or something? But they don't leave. Mm-hmm. They just stay in Encinitas.
Yes.
And to go to San Diego, they're like, oh my God, I went to San Diego. It's like 25-minute drive. It's nothing. It's a nothingness. But it feels like psychologically, it feels wrong. What I'm leading to here is I think it, as a generalization, because obviously American cities are all different, it leads to a parochial sort of, like a self-centered, a townish,
village-ish mindset.
A villagey mindset.
Yeah.
Even in one of the biggest cities in the world, you can still up it with a villager mindset, because if you're in, I don't know, Inglewood, you don't need really to go that, like, you wouldn't go across LA.
Because it's a waste of time, it's a waste of gas, it's a waste of money, and it hurts.
It's real. Fucking traffic in LA is psychologically very painful.
I mean, traffic, and then if you're from Inglewood, you deal with actual violence, so you have to be careful of physical actual violence, and then you're barely making enough to fill in one gas tank, so then you're wasting gas just to go across town for what? And it's the same thing in the next town. It's another Starbucks and a McDonald's there.
Yes.
So you're literally bubbled into whatever neighborhood you're already in. You know, with me growing up in a fourth of my life as a rich trust fund kid, I was really poor at one point, then I became a trust fund kid. During that time, I had nothing to do, and I would just like take my parents' car with their gas money and just drive to different cities and neighborhoods. But every single time, I would literally never see any visitors. It's just only the people from that town, and generally they're like ethnically segregated. So you have like the Mexican hood, you have the Vietnamese hood, you have the white hood, like all the stuff.
Hood. The white.
Sorry, suburban gated community. How about that?
Of course, there are poor white people. Of course, there are.
Yeah. In Orange County, I don't know, but like.
But it just so happens that if they're very rich, it tends to be white.
It tends to. It's for some reason on the beach too. I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of how it is, and like, there's no reason why you would end up visiting another neighborhood. And everyone generally just stays within their stuff. And my family generally just stayed within the Vietnamese neighborhood, and I didn't realize that there were other cities with other ethnic backgrounds or other types of things until I can actually drive. And that's when I forced myself to explore these other towns, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's, I think, so not to broaden it too much, but from the outside, when we think of America, all we have is a very narrow window, a very little hole to look at, which is TV and films. And that is not a representation, in my opinion, of anything. Maybe if you watched a TV show that's a series set in one place, like it's set in New Jersey or Boston, maybe you would see a little bit.
Right.
But if you take the general thing and go, look at all this information we have about America.
Yeah.
That is disinformation. That actually, nobody lives in that fantasy place. Those people don't exist, and that fantasy place doesn't exist. It's a pure dream. Like LA, and we've discussed this on Tentacle Croissant before. LA isn't LA. There isn't the LA that we think that there is. Doesn't really exist in any.
You know, it's actually interesting. The only real depictions that I've seen of LA and Long Beach are just from rap videos or more like hood movie classics. They actually show what most of LA looks like, which is like barren, hot, like only one floor level tiny houses that are just spread out for a while. Then you got a liquor store here, and then you have the Starbucks here and everything else. But anything that's like more glamorized, you generally just won't see that as an outsider just traveling temporarily. You have to know somebody to know somebody, and then you get like brought into maybe a micro bubble of something somewhat similar, but generally it doesn't reach that level of glamour.
No, that's interesting. I always think that, I think 3 times I've been up in the, is it the Hollywood Hills? Is that Mulholland Drive? Is that Hollywood Hills? When you're getting towards the sign.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And I'm weirdly, like, obviously you see, like you said, you know, you'll see Inglewood, you'll see Compton, you'll see Long Beach. Actually, I was stuck in one of them recently, and it's changed since the 90s gangster movies. It's actually quite nice suburban place.
Super nice.
But what doesn't seem to be depicted is the sort of the town, the separate town right underneath the Hollywood sign.
Yes.
It feels very different. It's like Spain.
Yeah.
They're just villas, all different villas with different shapes, just on top of each other across winding roads. Never makes a movie. Or is that because all the movie makers live there and they don't want people to know?
That's it. That's it, man.
It's actually quite, maybe not charming is a bit strong, but
I think they show a bit of that in the Tarantino movie, right? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's the only time where I was, you know, this meme of them doing that?
Yeah.
That was me. That was me. I was thinking, that's why is this never shown? Because it's actually going up into these, it's like this whole little patchwork maze area, and it feels like it has a bit of history. It feels like it has some age and some...
Yeah, that's where all the celebrities go, like once they can afford it and they're rich enough.
Yeah.
That's like their own little like Calabasas area or like up the hills. Like you can see it if you play Grand Theft Auto 5.
Right.
It's all there.
Yeah, that's how I saw it first. Before I ever went to LA. When I was super depressed, I'd play that shit all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that was, I went from Malaysia playing that, and then I went to LA, and it was like some weird PTSD flashback.
Yes.
Because it's so close to what LA is like.
Right, yeah. But yeah, that goes to prove how segregated all these neighborhoods are. Most people never get to see that.
Yeah.
Most people never get the opportunity to drive to certain places like that, or even come up with the idea to do it.
Right.
You know, I mean, to bring in the scale, like if you're driving in Orange County for 30 minutes, you'll still be in Orange County.
Wow.
You know, like certain cities you can drive for 20 minutes and you'll still be in the same city.
Yeah. Oh, you mean like driving nonstop, one direction?
Yeah.
I think if you're talking city centre, the only place where that would be true in the UK is London. But even then, like Londoners will say, that's not the city. You're not in the city centre. You've gone from a suburb to a suburb there.
Yeah.
If you ran through at 5 in the morning, we just don't have that size of stuff.
Totally.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. The reason why I was asking you about this is because I think it underpins. You have an unusual perspective on things, but it's unusual because it's grounded in a reality. But then you're in that reality, and then you're looking at it from like an angle.
Yes, I was also moving around a lot.
Right.
So I never stayed in a place long enough to cementify my relationship with my environment.
Okay.
And I was always around different types of people and like constantly bouncing all of the time and having to readjust and then reanalyze and all of those things.
So you never got sort of set in stone on everything. Flexibility was required.
Yeah, like the moment I would get slightly comfortable, it's like, oh, sorry, Pierre, we're moving again. So we're gonna go here.
So what were your, Do you know when your parents moved to America? Do you know what they did when they first went there?
Yeah, they moved during the whole refugee thing after the Vietnam War. So I can't remember the exact date, 70 something, late
Yeah.
70s, something like that. And then they met on their own. Well, they met separately. My dad was a bus driver. My mom can't remember what she was in at the time, but they met through that.
In America, did they meet?
In America.
Oh,
so they
okay.
had already moved to America by then. And then they started like hustling like crazy, trying to come up with the next business idea to survive and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously through time they got good at it and it moved beyond survival because they are successful entrepreneurs, aren't they?
Yeah. Things have kind of dipped since then. But like there was a moment where it was the American dream.
Right.
But I guess the real American dream is debt and credit problems. So
the American dream of coming to the country with nothing and being able to build something there that's substantial.
Yes,
They
on
left it.
paper, yes.
On paper.
Yeah.
And what, in their case, do you know what it was that killed that dream? That
I think they've had a continuous pattern with certain businesses. Maybe that does well for a while, then like most businesses, they just kind of, something happens and they die out. But the most recent occasion is probably just some bad investment decisions or possible crazy mortgage issues. I mean, the houses got so big that I think they just became unsustainable.
Okay.
And then being under the pattern of weighting debt somehow. And I don't know the details, but I just recognized that the houses got smaller and then like we kept moving and stuff. So
were they back in Vietnam? Would they have been from? They weren't from wealthy families as such.
That's a good question.
Like your grandparents, I mean.
I think at least maybe middle class. I don't think they were struck with poverty. I maybe should ask about that. But definitely since the war happened, it was nothing. So I mean, I don't know about before, but
the thing is what you're describing, I saw with my own parents, and the reason for that is because largely from pretty poor backgrounds. So in their case, I think sometimes it was money mismanagement or having like a nouveau riche attitude to money. Oh, we're rich now. Let's buy the things.
Yes.
And I was like, now as an older man, I'm older than when I was observing my parents. They were in their early 30s, and I'm now 10 years older than that. And I'm looking at that going, see all that money? That should have gone in the bank.
Yeah.
You should have kept that.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, the idea like, oh, the business is working. Let's sit in the kitchen and go like, well, in 15 years' time, we're going to be this rich. Instead of being like, let's just hold on to what we got.
Hold on to it. Well, I mean, the nouveau rich thing and Greek pillars in the living room.
Okay.
Maserati that
really
you have to take you have to take to the auto shop every 2 weeks because there's not a part that they have to fix this thing. I mean the pool table, like just like yeah.
It's another thing that I've heard myself saying, well, repeatedly here in Europe when I'm offering business advice to people. They're like, why should I set my business? Like, should I attach like myself to local Prague businesses, local Liverpool businesses? I'm like, you're working online, just America. Don't forget, fuck everyone else. Fuck everyone else, just America. And you know what? You don't even need America. Choose one state. Fuck that. Choose one city in one state. You will be rich beyond your wildest dreams until the day you die, and your children will be rich. There's money in America, and there's a fluidity. I've found working with Americans for 20 years, there's just a fluidity there that we just don't have here.
Yeah.
There's like this, so if you set up like the story you've told, I 1000% believe that you can go to California, and if you have a pretty good idea that's a solid 8 out of 10, yeah, you could be a millionaire. Yeah. Absolutely, people will pay you.
Well,
for
everyone's
the
a lot
service.
more loose with consuming and buying stuff.
Right.
You know, that's where we get our culture and human connections. So people just kind of throw money as if it's a form of connecting.
So in America, a form of connecting is money?
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I think money is not so much money, but the exchange of money.
Right.
It's very inherent in the culture and communication. And if you look at even, you know, me and you both, but more so me, the whole influencer social media culture, you know, you want to be closer to an influencer, you want to be supporting a YouTuber that you like, you buy their merch, you know, you support them through money. Like that's part of the cultural language of like
Of America.
appreciation of America.
I never heard anybody say that before, but I've lived it.
Yeah.
I've lived the experience of saying to Americans, "Would you like to give me some money?" And they're like, "Where do I put it? Where's the bucket for me to just throw money at you?"
Yeah.
You say that to
Right.
Brits, and they're like, "For what? Like, why?
Right.
Why?"
Yeah, I mean, the Europeans, all they need is one of these
Yeah.
and a glass of wine and a croissant or two,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's like, which is basically what everyone really needs anyways.
Right.
You know, but in America, there's not so much of that kind of like socialization, coffee culture, leisurely bohemian thing. So
Yeah.
a lot of it is due to just like, here, I'll help you out. Here's this, or, well, that looks really crazy. My mother would love that. You know, my daughter would love that.
Yeah.
Jump rope that lights up and spells crazy things. Like, I'll get her that thing.
Yes,
So that's like almost an impulsive cultural behavior.
American culture also respects entrepreneurialism.
Yes. Oh, that's a huge part of it too.
Which in Europe and Britain, there's still a snotty,
Yes.
like little stuck-up attitude about entrepreneurship.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it
Yeah.
because an entrepreneurship is within the fabric of American culture,
Yes.
so that it is inherent with how to spend money and how to use it.
I find it a little bit frustrating sometimes listening to people talk about America, and they want to talk about like colonialism and empire and racism. They go, this is the fabric of the culture, and I'm like, I think those things came with it, but it's money is the essence of the culture,
Right.
And not necessarily in like a dark way, like or an evil way. It's a mercantile culture. It's a like you just said it in a way that is nice.
Mercantile, merchant.
Yeah. You said it in a nice way, which is, it's almost like a culture of saying, I'm going to buy and spend as a way of forming social bonds. Not have a coffee and talk.
Yeah.
Not, I don't know, we'll go for a walk and sort of generate that intimacy, but here's my money. Give me your money.
Yeah, and I'm able to see it a lot clearer now that I've lived here for about 4 to 5 years. The big reason why I came here, lots of reasons that we talked about, being able to walk for one thing.
Yeah.
But one thing with like the social fabric and like communication and relating to people was through money. And at the moment in that time, it just drove me crazy. Because like, oh, I thought you're friends with me. Oh no, you're part of a multi-level marketing scheme and you're trying to get me to sell your skincare products. You know, you're talking to me as if you're best friend, but no, because you have this extra vape juice that turns you into a fairy or whatever it's, you know? So everyone's there to sell you something there. And that drove me insane because any type of social interaction after 18.
Yeah.
I noticed before 18, it was like better because you're younger, you don't care about those things. But the moment the adulthood switches there, it's just all, what's my hustle? What's my thing? And since I moved here and first traveled here, it was just nice to it was so refreshing to see people actually first listening to you, not just word vomiting.
Right.
And then secondarily, money is one of the last concerns. It's more so like what you can provide in a conversation.
I saw with my sister once she got to a certain age, this thing that you're talking about, where I think it was like I was visiting America, and then past the age of 28 and up, people were selling their friend group stuff, and that was normal. Like you just said, they would sell products or skateboards or something. Everybody's part of a fucking startup. And then the other thing that they do, which this is me being a European snob, is they would have a meal or bring wine or food or something, and then just go, Venmo, can you please Venmo me?
Yes.
50. And as a European, I'll be like, what are you doing? You can't. It was like, I don't know, like they dropped their trousers in front of me or something.
I've heard splitting the bill is like quite faux pas here.
It's becoming normal in the UK, but culture, like when that first came around 15 years ago, it was extremely uncomfortable. It's just in the blood. It's in your bones. Like it's not rude. It's kind of barbaric.
Yeah,
it's really rough.
It's objectifying and objectifying, defecations. Yeah, because it basically implies that you're ignoring a more realer human emotional aspect of our interaction. The moment I present. Here's a monetary deal to our interaction.
Thank you for the wine.
Yes.
Venmo me $15.
But it's conditioned in me. It's so bad that sometimes when I feel like people do things for me, or they're just like doing favors or just being nice, like I'm like, all right, what do I owe you?
Yeah.
Like the first thing is like, what do I owe you? Type of a thing, or how can I give you back this transaction?
What did that cost me? Yeah, no, it is. It's people are learning to do it, but it's not. It's just a very, very different culture. But from a businessman's point of view, it's beautiful. I love that.
Right.
I don't want to live in it.
Yes.
But I don't mind making money off of it.
No, for sure. America is for business.
Yeah.
If there's one thing great about it, it's marketing, it's business.
Yeah.
It's Hollywood, maybe not Hollywood, but just entrepreneurial, business-related marketing stuff. It's great.
I would say yes, Hollywood. The only thing is the Hollywood that we have of today and we've had for the last 4 years is just bad business.
Yeah.
It's just become in fact, if it was more American, it's becoming less American. If it was truly American and was following marketing principles properly, it would ask the audience that's giving them money, what do you want?
Right.
And then give them that. It's not now. It's doing some weird Marxist ideological, it's our job.
It becomes internal. It's like feeding whatever their internal bubble is. It's no longer reaching outward.
Yeah. It's, that whole Hollywood collapse thing, I think, is definitely an ongoing one. So, how old were you when you started to feel very uncomfortable living in America?
So when I traveled.
Where did you travel to?
Okay, I actually think the first time I traveled out of the States was Japan.
Oh, really?
One of my friends, who was half Danish and half Brazilian, the Brazilian side had a Brazilian family living in Japan. It's so weird.
That's
like,
crazy, yeah.
Crazy stuff. But I think they asked me if I wanted to come, and my parents were like, yeah, sure, like, why not?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, that was crazy.
How old were you?
14, 15, something like that. But I mean, dude, cultural shock all the way.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, at the age that I don't think I was able to fully appreciate or see the differences there. It didn't really hit me in the heart because I didn't really understand at the moment. I was just there with my friend, and there was like Pokemon everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, like, whoa, this is weird, you know, like Logan Paul status, maybe not that far. But I think the moment that I actually went to Europe, that really started shifting it, because it was still Western enough that was familiar. It wasn't like an alien planet.
So Japan was probably too much and was just it just made you numb.
It was really novel. It was like a Disneyland trip.
Right.
Because it was so weird that it didn't feel relatable. It was just like, hey, I'm at Disneyland for a while.
Right.
You know, but when I went to Europe, it was just Western enough. More people spoke English, saw how the cities were made, the buildings, how people interacted with each other. Went to it was a pretty big trip, like to Paris, to Amsterdam, to wherever, all these other places. And then that's when I realized, like, oh, wow, there's another way to go about everything here.
And how old were you when you did that?
18.
18 when you did that.
17, 18.
There's something in me, having interacted with younger people in America, where I always want to say to them, like, wherever they're from, whatever their background is, if you're raised in America, you should go to Europe, because that is the motherland of your culture.
Yes.
And you're living in a sort of a weird...
Bastardized version.
Yeah. It's like the bastard child of... Because there's no Eastern values in American culture.
Yes.
It's European, but then it's got this other weird element that is purely American.
Like outlaw.
Right.
Wild West.
Which is why I'm so obsessed with that book, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy, and I want to get more people reading it, because that, I think, is the only time it's the real beating heart of America is represented in a way that is sort of close to being true. I wasn't there, but it feels, it resonates with a certain kind of truth, because I think when you see, even when you say outlaw, Wild West, people go, oh yeah, I know what that is. Clint Eastwood, John Wayne. And then you go, no, not that. It was weirder than that. It was darker than that. It was a bizarre, confusing time. Where only the most psychotic cruel people really went forward. And it's not, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon of saying a condemnation of America, but that's what it was. It was what it was. It was and I think Blood Meridian reflects that. But yeah, I think you're right. So it's not Europe. It's got no Eastern values.
No.
It's that West, that outlaw Wild West thing.
I actually had this theory that because America is made up of immigrants,
right?
What incentivizes most immigrants to leave their country to go into this barren land where you know no one, and you have to figure out to make things work? It's usually a really traumatic situation.
Gotta be.
Yeah, like Vietnam. That's where my parents came from. Fucking war there that made them refugees that went over. They're in the beginning of America. You had like Irish and Polish and whatever that were rejected for whatever reason there. And
Some of them were sent over as indentured slaves. They were being punished.
Exactly.
By being sent to America.
I mean, the whole slavery thing, that's another thing. So you literally have an entire tribe of people that were just reject outlaws or born from war trauma or just the worst of the worst situations in their countries that came over here, and then somehow it's supposed to work out.
And it was started, wasn't it, with English Protestants avoiding English Catholics because we were like cutting each other's arms and legs off, disemboweling each other.
So just from the beginning of that, then you had the
terror.
Manifest Destiny and all the indigenous people get slaughtered there. So it's like from the very, very beginning and then still ongoing, it's a bunch of people that have pretty terrible situations already that choose to come over.
You said still ongoing.
Yeah.
So do you think that the sort of the karmic weight, the gravity of all that is still having an impact in America?
Yeah, because it's still within the marketing branding of American Dream. And I have ran into families or still families that go to America to send money back. Once they work, whatever, they send money back to the Philippines, to wherever, to do this. It's like still, like you said, idealistically, it's a great business place, the exchange of money. So you got like a lot of maybe people from poorer areas, poor places around the world that decide to come there to like somehow help back, you know?
Which is pretty, even that in our modern form of what you're saying, that's quite cutthroat. They're not going to America to contribute. They're not asking what they can do for the country.
Or they go here for bohemian like coffee time. I went to America to have some wine and tea. Like, doesn't make sense. I'm here to fucking feed my family that lives on a boat out here, you know?
I'm going to dig some money out and I'm going to send it back home.
Right. It's very transactional, so it's inherent everywhere.
And then the only difference is the further you go back in history, the greater the pain and the suffering of getting there was, and the greater the risk of dysentery or torture, death by torture, or whatever the hell.
Yes.
So, but you firmly believe that is still the weight of that, not just the weight of that from the past, but the people are still living that to this day.
Yeah, I think so. I think, or they are the results of the last generation that birthed them there. So they're still helping out, like even in Better Call Saul, right? You have Mexican families in New Mexico, and that cycle just kind of continues. And whatever ethnicity it might be, it's just a constant cycle of trying to survive through the immigration origin. You know?
Yeah. Better Call Saul, I would, in that context, I'd put alongside like No Country for Old Men and Blood Meridian as good representations of what the real America is.
Yeah.
Weird, violent, but it's a story of entrepreneurs.
Yes, that's true.
Everybody in that story is an entrepreneur.
And it's cutthroat money grabs.
100%.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Would you say, here's a weird question for you. Do you like America?
I mean, as I've like matured, it's matured a lot in the last 3 years, if you can see, but...
Hence the depression.
Yeah.
Why is depression maturing? I don't know. It sucks. This world sucks.
I had a long phase of hating America as if it was like a resentful parent, being resentful towards a parent. But I'm out of it now, and I've kind of understood what it is on its own, and judging it through a lens of like... Judging it through a lens of that is what it is. And you know, I can't compare it to Europe because that's its own entity, and that's just good for what they do there.
This is what people.
You know?
This is what people say of an abusive parent after therapy.
There you go.
There
you go,
I can't
man.
judge him because he had his own problems and he did this, but that was because his father was an alcoholic. And,
AKA, I'm coping right now.
but do you feel any loyalty to America?
Hell no.
Nothing.
Hell no. I mean, if we want to get deeper into it, my current like philosophical exploration at the moment is just the idea of belonging.
Yeah.
And then being someone who's moved around a lot in America, and bits of California, jumped around of different ethnic groups, to being a fluent English speaker but can't really speak Vietnamese to my own parents, and now living in the Czech Republic, not really knowing what my positioning is in relation to here.
Yeah.
And it's just I'm a bit lost in terms of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially if you have like an outsider archetype. You're living an outsider archetype.
Right.
How do you belong?
Right.
With your intrinsic identity as like outsider or shaman or traveler or whatever the thing is.
Right.
It's very difficult to find a place to belong, I think.
Exactly. And I think American is one of the last things. It's just my accent, perhaps, and a bit of the marketing prowess that I've kind of adopted, maybe the entertainment stuff. There are bits that are very American, but it's not at my heart. I feel like I was dropped off here. I don't feel like I grew up born and raised as one.
Right,
you know?
Right. So do you feel more of an affinity to Czech Republic?
For now, yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of it works better with me than living in Southern California.
I remember you said that if Czech was invaded, well, specifically you said if Prague was invaded, you would stay and fight. You wouldn't.
Don't put words in my mouth. I just had a passing thought.
You want to maintain the option to leave when the bombs actually drop. It's like, I feel American as fuck today. Are you going to help? No, I love America.
It's just it was literally one of those boyish thoughts. Like if a ninja came out on the street right now, what I would do is an arm lock, and then it's not like I would actually, but yeah.
So there's an affinity you feel to being here, but it's not limitless.
Yeah, I mean, especially like just kind of recently with all the changes, man. Like I'm feeling less and less like this is the set in stone place.
What were those changes? Vape break.
Vape break.
You can leave this in, Thomas. It's just so that it doesn't go in their ears. Well, you plug your ears at home, folks.
So the changes were obviously the last few years with the COVID, the lockdowns. I mean, that...
You didn't enjoy lockdown in Prague?
That was one of my favorite things. I wish I could do it all over again.
Yeah. I think I did 5 months here and I was like... life-changing psychosis emerged from that.
Yeah.
Like I really had a breakdown after that.
I think I still have it. I still think there's lingering, psychosis is a strong word, but I really...
No, it's correct here.
Like a literal loss of grasp on reality.
Yeah. And I think everybody did, and they're just in denial.
Yeah. Like I think you have to go in denial to cope, right? But I'm still like, what is actually here? And like, what are people really like?
How do I hold on to anything?
So when I'm talking about changes that have recently happened, it's not just within the Czech Republic, it's within me. There's lots of internal changes with me.
Right.
My shift on what's happening culturally in the global stage, whether that be like pop culture, the internet, and then even locally in the Czech Republic, Prague specifically, lots more dirty looks, lots more like you don't belong here type of situations. It's
gotten more aggressive.
A lot more aggressive in general. So I think that's the general atmosphere overall. So that's got me kind of like reconsidering things. But then I think, is anywhere else really that much better?
Right.
Isn't everyone a little more frustrated and angry these days?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a tremendous amount of frustration around. So for people who don't know, not all lockdowns across the world were equal. And this one here in Czech, as ranked by, there was a study done by Oxford University, was one of the hardest in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought like Greece or something would be, no?
Greece was hard, Spain was hard. It's up there as a very, very strict lockdown that went on for a long time. Because, as you know, well, I was in America more than you these last couple of years, right?
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So California was in lockdown, and my Florida didn't, or they had some restrictions. Nothing. It was nothing compared to what happened here. So it's just so people know, like you go, oh yeah, I was in lockdown. It wasn't that bad. It's different. It was different here. It was very, very, very strict. So you feel less of an affinity than before 2020 for Prague.
Yeah.
You don't feel as welcome as you did before.
Of course, but it's also in general, not just specifically Prague, but that's also a piece of it. I think in general, I don't really feel. I think right now, it's so tribal and there's a very authoritarian spirit to everything that if you're not a part of a set in stone tribe or you don't have a slightly authoritarian belief, you're gonna have a really hard time feeling like you belong really anywhere.
Right. Where do you see this going? Somewhere good? Somewhere fun? Happy times?
Bro, I don't know what it's gonna end up like, but it's not good.
You are, generally speaking, not optimistic.
I try not to think about it too much these days, but with the current state of how things have continued, it doesn't feel like it's going to revert anything to similar that what we had before. It's not fun. It's not fun. I don't think it's fun anymore. I don't think it's not lighthearted anymore. It's not
It all got
as
very
accepting.
serious,
It got very serious. It's not as accepting. There's less of a feeling of liberation within the culture. It's very authoritarian, really restrictive feeling. And I think those are really big values that I hold dear. So being a person that enjoys so much bohemian-like freedom and expression and stuff, it's just so constricting.
Yeah. Also, in the last couple of years, there was the riots in America that took place. Tell me, why are you racist? No, why do you hate white people so much?
Because everyone else did at the time.
What do you think about racism? Start anywhere you like on that huge topic. What was your first experience of racism?
It goes good with coffee in the morning.
Right?
Yes.
A little buzz.
It's a little buzz.
Bring you up.
Gets a little outrage.
Just hate a group.
Do you think about like people just start off their mornings with outrage on Twitter and their coffee?
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much energy you have for the rest of the day if you do that simultaneously.
Buzz. Get the central nervous system fired up.
Yeah. But anyways, your question is, what is my experience with racism here or just in general?
In your life, when did you first become aware of was there a moment you remember of where you knew what racism was? Because we don't know as kids.
You know what's funny? It's actually happened. The first half of my life, I was in schools that were very, very diverse. It looked like straight out of like Captain Planet or like Hey Arnold, just a really diverse group of kids from every background, whatever. And there was never a mention, actually, ever.
Yeah.
And it was only until I moved to Huntington Beach, where it was 80% white.
Yeah.
When I started realizing these weird little looks or the way that I was spoken to or like jokes that weren't that funny that kind of got me more aware of the situation. And turns out Huntington Beach has a neo-Nazi history, especially within the 80s. So it's very recent. So the parents of whoever I went to school with were definitely aware of the cultural climate at the time.
I know that Huntington Beach has produced some pretty famous UFC fighters. So I'm guessing it's a little rougher.
Oh, it's like, that's why they say it's like Florida of California.
Okay.
It's like Orange County, specifically Huntington Beach. It was like new money, like rough white kids that would like overdose a lot. And they're really like abrasive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but they were like really abrasive, man.
And so the first experience you had of racism would be like passive-aggressive comments, jokes that were not funny, that were related to ethnicity.
Right, stuff like that. Yeah. And then, one of the first times that I met you, you helped with the Asian racism video.
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Oh shit, yeah, that was
one of the first
2019.
things. 2019. That video
good
was,
times.
Yeah, I know. The video was like, it's sat on like a few million right now, dude.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh,
well, just like
shit.
maybe 1 point something, whatever.
Wow. Yeah.
But I didn't realize that everything would become racism after that video, but
Timing, good timing. What did I say in that video? Did I reveal?
You basically said how racist you were and how much you hate Asian people.
Oh,
Yes, and that's why I'm here today, to confront you, to give you...
Out me. You got to
out you.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
one of the themes about it was basically the way that Asians are approached with racism. It's more negligent.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not so overt, like words and stuff. It's more like you are casted aside or not taken as a person generally, or just brushed aside.
Sort of invisible.
Yeah. So it was like that for over a longer period of time, which sends you in this weird psychological space of like, what am I doing? Is it people are not really mean to me, but like, what am I doing? Am I supposed to be here?
It's like a subtle form of gaslighting.
I was gonna say that it's like a long, slow burn of gaslighting over a period of time.
I wonder what that would do to a person.
So end up like this, bro.
That's what it does to a person. So what a psychology researcher could do is they could put different people in a scenario where you have 6 paid actors and then they do a task, and then you have the person self-report how they feel going in and how they feel afterwards, and just give them different levels of just ignorance. And like every third thing they say, the whole group just carries on talking.
Yes.
Just pretend they didn't hear them at all.
And that happened a lot. That's it. So there's like over a period of time, no matter what group you were with, like I would consistently be like, or my opinion doesn't matter much, or I can't say as much, or whatever, or, you know.
People would be like, we didn't ask a maths questions.
Yes, exactly. And I was like growing up in different neighborhoods, so I wasn't just always surrounded by Asian people.
Yeah.
Obviously, it happened a lot less with other Asian people because we're all Asian.
Yeah.
But as I branched out, there was a lot more of that.
So if you were the minority in a white group,
for sure.
or a minority in any other group.
Yeah.
Would it be worse if the group was mixed, or if it was like a homogenous group? Like if you were with all Latino people, would it be worse than if it was a mixed group, or did you not notice that? These are psychology questions, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure, but the only group one of the few groups that ended up being pretty equal was the improv theater group, which was like circus. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like it was literally people that were from all different backgrounds, and they were all just as funny as the next person.
Right.
So it was like, that was one of the last things that we related on, which was just our race, with everybody was something different. So.
Okay, so there was multiple ethnicities there, but you were all doing improv, you were all trying to make each other laugh. And so there was like an equal space for involvement. Do you think there's ever any justification for racism?
What are these questions?
I'm just asking you dumb shit. Trying to provoke you. Is there ever any justification for it? Like, is there a race that we can be racist against? You can say white people, it's okay.
Just white people?
You won't. Look, kidding. You can say that. Nobody's going to do, literally nobody's going to do anything.
I don't think.
Do white people suck? No, wait. Why?
Why are you racist against white people?
Yeah. Why? Why do you love it so much?
No, I generally avoid race. You know that. Like, I don't like topics that involve it. I don't like making it a thing. I'm very careful to like victimize myself over it.
You're very careful not to victimize yourself.
Yeah. And it's like one of my last check marks if I'm being treated bad.
Right.
It's one of the last things that I'll go to.
Right.
You know.
You'll assume it's other things first.
Yeah. Like, so I don't think it's appropriate to be racist at all, generally, and I try not to be, which I think I'm doing okay. Yeah.
I try not to drown kittens.
Try not to do that.
I try to respect people's physical boundaries, and I try not to be
as much as I can.
I also put the lid down on the toilet after using it. It's become an extremely divisive topic, and I think your audience is young. They're Gen Z, right?
They were. Now they're older women.
Okay. Tell me about your experience on YouTube. When did you get onto YouTube first?
I don't even think you know this, actually. I first got on YouTube when it started, at 2008.
Oh, okay. We were both on there.
Yes, we were actually both on there. And during that time, this is really weird, but I was doing pro wrestling videos with my friends.
Sure, because you would have been 12?
Yeah. And then
You do body slams onto the couch and
and
shit.
at the moment, I didn't know what this meant, but looking back, it was so sick. Like some dude was like, "I can't wait to see more of these," and I'm like, "You fucking creep,
shit.
you fucking
The
pedo."
way you wrestle with each other
Ew.
sure is pretty.
So
Hug him
nasty.
again. Hold
But
him
that
down.
was like, that was maybe like 2 videos. One of my cousins did a failed backflip.
Yeah.
He like jumped on his head,
Shit.
and then he made a failed backflip compilation video.
Oh, wowie.
So that was his 5 seconds of fame. So funny.
A lot of people saw that. Did it go viral?
Yeah, so funny.
Cool.
So funny. Then I was doing magic videos, so card tricks.
Yeah.
I already hacked the algorithm. It was titled "The Most Impossible Card Trick in the World," and at the time, it got like 300,000 views, which
What?
was like that was like huge for YouTube at the time.
That's fucking insane.
It was at that 2008, bro.
That's
That was
insane.
huge.
Yeah, that's huge.
Did that. Then I did skateboarding videos, a lot of teen boy shit, you know, like skateboarding montages. And then as high school went on, and I tried to be more cool or whatever the hell, I just stopped.
Yeah.
And then decided to get into music later on. Then I realized like I ain't make no money just making music. I need to like figure out some other entertainment route that could possibly make me money. And that's when YouTube came back around when I was 19, 20. Actually, it was like 20 something. I was 22, 23.
So it's recent.
Yeah, now I think about it, yeah.
Your second go around with YouTube is fairly recent. You said you got into music. Had you had any formal training in childhood in music?
Other than lip singing to like DV handhelds, Linkin Park songs, and I learned to dance a bit in high school and made some silly school project rap tracks. Not really, no formal training.
But you can do music production now, or at least you can do it at home, right?
Yeah.
And you've produced tracks and
Yeah, I started doing that when I was like 20 something.
okay.
So then after that, I started making my own songs and stuff. And then I used YouTube as a way to initially promote the music stuff, and then figured out a way there.
So wrestling for the joy of paedophile somewhere, and then magic videos and skateboard videos. Then you dropped it. Then you came back and it was music you were predominantly promoting on YouTube. So this channel you have now, PierreXO, was that music in the beginning?
Yeah. It was primarily about music, and then more like these weird artistic depressing 1-minute videos. And then that was when I was getting into a slew of semi-romantic relationships, and then one of them ended up on a viral video by Jubilee.
So what age are you now when that happens?
23.
Had you moved to Prague by then?
No, I was still planning on it, but I had
You were living in America?
Yeah.
And you ended up, as you say, you were dating.
Yeah.
You were with different girls and women. But there was a woman that you were dating, and that became something that Jubilee focused on and did an interview on.
Yes.
What happened there?
So, taking a step back just a little bit, what happened was I was holding a local kind of creative community. It was like some bandmates, some other painters, some illustrators, and a bunch of other creative types, and I would hold weekly meetings with them. Eventually, one of them introduced me to a filmmaker, and we got along really well, and we still do. I occasionally keep in touch with him. And one day he decides, "Hey, Pierre, do you want to do a documentary?" And I'm like, sure, why not? And this was when I was moving out of this music studio. He ends up making the documentary with me. Then it just disappears for like a year. Hadn't really heard or seen anything about it. It's cool, a year goes by. Then he gets the job at Jubilee, uploads this video, that documentary. It was clickbait. It was a clickbait title, How I Became So Enlightened That I Lost Myself.
Okay.
And this was about my psychedelic journey, where I became under a long psychosis and lost touch with reality, and how I came back to reality afterwards.
So you didn't make that video, that was made by this dude?
That was made by this dude that's now on Jubilee. You can probably still find it, but that was exploring when I was like binging.
Can you say his name, or is it better not?
Yeah, his name's Ian.
Okay.
So Ian...
He was doing that, and then he worked for Jubilee afterwards.
Yeah, so the whole video is about my journey of tripping balls on acid for like a year straight or something like that. And then, just the luck of the draw, I was with that woman one night, and
What were you doing with her? Oh, you were already dating her?
yeah,
How did you meet her?
Instagram.
Okay.
That's how it usually happens.
And then you'd been on a few dates with her? How long had you been with her for?
I don't know, like a month or two. 3 months. 3 months. I remember. 3 months.
This is important data that people need to know.
Yes, it was just 3 months.
And then what happened?
And then one morning, he calls me and literally says, "Hey, Pierre, we had a couple drop out of one of our segments. Can you bring someone and can you come to substitute? Can you come in and film this?"
You were a com substitute.
Yes, become substitute. And then I was just like, yo, we got a casting call.
Yeah.
Let's go. And then literally within that same hour, we just got there.
Had she done any TV work before or anything?
Like modeling jobs and stuff like that, but not like a video format type of a thing.
And what happened in this episode that you shot as a com
It was
substitute?
just like this format,
Just like
twice my age. You know, we were revealing stuff about each other.
Another old beige, old white beige.
You said that, not me.
Old white bitches. They're the bane of your life.
Where'd they come from?
This is your karma, man.
Where'd they come from,
Yeah,
man?
we're sent to torture you.
Yeah, so what happened was you had a producer there. They kept asking revealing questions that we
About your relationship, your sexual relationship.
yeah, and then eventually it got to like, do you love her? And I was like, damn, well, not like that.
Doesn't one of you have headphones on so they can't hear? Just explain that for people who've not seen the video yet.
Looking back, it's pretty redundant, the whole headphone thing. It wasn't really necessary.
Okay.
But the theme is that you're wearing headphones and I answer a question about you.
But
Well, you can't hear it, and then we take turns.
Okay. And what was the question that they asked again? Do you love her?
Do you love her?
She had headphones on.
Yeah, well, it started off with her saying, do you love him? He's like, yes, I really love him.
She said, yes, I love him.
I love him a lot and stuff. And then they asked me, and then I was like, damn, well, I do in another way.
Philosophically, as a person,
but like, I don't know. We've had previous conversations of like, I don't want this to be a serious thing. Like,
you told her that.
over and over before the thing. And then eventually, like, it basically came off as I was rejecting her on this video.
So one of the reasons why this Jubilee video went viral was people saw a young man and an older woman, and the older woman was saying, yes, I love him, I want to be with him. And the young man was saying, well, I don't really love her, and no, I don't want to be with her. I don't want to be with
3 months on top of that.
And you'd only been together for 3 months. What was the public's general attitude towards you? Because this came out in when? 2015? 2016?
16. Was it 16?
I think you were around the Me Too movement. I think you were around a moment in culture where
the Me Too thing.
Men were really were regarded maybe in an uncharitable light. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, I think around that time. Well.
May I also? Here we go.
I was not received fondly. Actually, it was this dichotomy. The ones that loudly commented on that video hated the hell out of me, but so many silent followers and DMs thirsting over me.
Really?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're such a bastard, you really were naughty. Would you like to be naughty with me too?
Exactly.
Yeah. Bad boy.
Something like that.
Naughty boy.
Oh, what a terrible dude.
What a terrible guy. I hate him.
I want to flip. You know, that's how it goes. I hate him. I want to flip. So that's what happened there, where it was like I was the aggressor and the criminal and the villain of the situation.
You exploited her.
Yeah, that I exploited this woman that was twice my age.
Yeah.
And I should have just given
It's like elder abuse, what you did.
That's what I'm about to do to you right now, son. I'll pull that chair right out your ass, son.
And you can't run away.
Give me a fucking cappuccino.
You old fuck. Your hips won't take it. I can't escape him, oh God.
Elder abuse. Yeah, so Yeah, they didn't like me, man, because I was
A boy.
I was a boy rejecting an older woman, and she was like basically saying, "You're my boyfriend," and I'm like, "No," but she's like, "You're my boyfriend. He just doesn't know it yet. You're my boyfriend, and he doesn't know it yet."
Weinstein overtones.
Yeah. So if an older man went to a 20-year-old girl and says, "You're my girlfriend," you don't know it yet.
And she was like, "No, I don't want to be your girlfriend."
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Everybody picture that. I'm just sat there going, "Yeah, you're my girlfriend. You just don't know it yet." That's creepy as fuck. But if it's a woman saying it,
Yeah.
oh no, she just really loves him.
Yeah. And even if you said like, "Yeah, I love him a lot," or if you say, "Yeah, I love her a lot," and you're an older man with a younger woman there, that would even still be like,
Yeah, it would still be
weird.
a problem. Still be a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
So the upside of that is lots of people in your DMs thirsting over you, and it really pushed your public to in a more your profile became more public as a result of that, right?
Yeah, it was huge. It was really big, and it still is. It's like almost 6 million views to this
Wow.
day.
Wow.
And I would be recognized out here for that video. And there was one time that I was with my ex-girlfriend and I went to get hot wings at this restaurant in California. And the hostess recognized me.
Wow.
But she gave me the fucking cold shoulder the whole time.
Well, she was mad at you.
She was mad at me.
You're just like my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, she was just like, "Oh, you're in that video, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Like, here's your seat." Yeah.
Enjoy, fuckface.
And then my ex-girlfriend got mad at me there for the hostess recognizing me on this thing where
Yeah.
she did the thing.
Good.
And then started, I was just getting fucking yelled at her all over the damn
Good.
place.
You deserve everything that happens to you. I'm glad. I'm glad that happened. I wish it was worse.
And then from there, I gained a predominantly female audience who love and hate me still to this day.
So, just briefly on this thing, because I think there's little blind spots that we have culturally. Consent is important. Physical and sexual consent is what we generally talk about. Emotional consent, we tend not to. Like, if a girl says to me, she only wants me for sex or something, should I listen to that, or should I just keep pushing for what I want? Like, if you saw me doing that with a girl as my mate,
Yeah.
you probably would say to me, wouldn't you? Like,
Bro, you're going a little hard, man. Just chill. Yeah.
no means no, right?
Supposed to be, yeah.
Whether it's sexual, physical, emotional, whatever.
But
no.
if it's an older woman to a younger man, then it doesn't matter.
Okay, so there is one rule, especially if she's white.
Basically,
That's called white privilege.
Basically, you can't reject women, okay?
Okay.
That's the rule. You can't do that.
I'll write that down. Equal rights for everybody, unless you're a man. In which
Yes.
case, fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I understand the rules of the game now. Can we talk, around that time you would have been 23 now? So you've got this public profile that's coming up, you're doing your music,
Yeah,
and you like ladies?
I think so. I hope so.
You were doing some
Yes.
dating then?
A lot of it.
A lot of dating?
A lot of it.
How many years of a lot of dating do you think you did?
Well, ever since that moment, like my selection just had completely exponentially blew the hell up. Where this is coming from someone who is either viewed with the racial tonality or nerd or just a brush aside dork weirdo for most of my life, generally not attractive to most girls at all. And then all of a sudden it's like, I'm like an icon here.
Right.
So, I mean, what does any guy do in that situation? I just went for it.
You were in the candy shop.
Yeah,
You were given
exactly.
keys.
So that went on since I was like 23, and nowadays I'm real burnt out.
So how old are you now?
Fuck, man. How old am I? Oh my God.
Spiritually
I'm
67.
29, man.
You old bitch.
Shit.
29. So, and a lot of that sort of stopped like a year and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's still 4 years of your life. What impact do you think that had on you? Sorry, we didn't close the loop before. Why would a white guy talk about Asian experience of racism? We never said why. my only input on that video was to reflect to somebody with a lot of Chinese friends back home.
Exactly.
To say that.
So you know.
Yeah, what seemed to be happening was invisibility.
Right.
Or
yes.
You're not visible and you're not a sexual entity.
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually a key point. I was like, why did you bring that up? That's why. Because growing up feeling invisible and a non-attractive entity made me overcompensate once that selection was open.
Okay. Yeah, it's an important part of your story, your psychology, is there was this overcompensatory gesture, which comes later in life. And for people who don't know, like in America and in the UK, if you're Asian, you're just not in a predominantly white community. Well, that doesn't matter okay. Let me talk to what I know with certainty. In the UK, white, black, or Southeast Asian. What's the difference between Southeast Asian and Vietnam? What would you say for that?
You're talking about South Asian, like Indian, though? Indian.
Okay,
so that's not Southeast. Southeast is Vietnamese. Southeast is...
Oh, is it really?
Is like Thai, is like Laos, that side, yeah.
Okay, so when if we're talking Bengali, Indian, Pakistani, Nepalese, even they would have... It's not even... I guess it is a prejudice. It's like a disregard for Chinese, Thai, Malay, Vietnam, Cambodia, China, Japanese, Korean. It's just a disregard.
Yes. It's not a hate. It's a disregard.
Yeah.
That's the key thing. It's not an overt, like, go fuck yourself because you're Chinese or Vietnamese. It's like, you're not considered within the dating pool. You're just, like, not a part of it, sort of a thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just to say, because I don't know, we never closed that loop. And I don't know if people would know that. I don't know if they would see that, or why would somebody even think about it?
That's the invisibility aspect of it. It's not really talked about. It's not really known.
Yeah.
So that even goes in with it because people don't understand if you were to bring that up because it's invisible.
And important to the PierreXO story, if people want to understand it from your subjective experience, you're looking through your eyes and going, nobody gives a fuck about me, let's say in America, generally speaking. I'm invisible here, to suddenly I am very, very specifically sexually visible by women.
Yes.
Because men you'd have male friends and play sport with them, skateboard with them, whatever, but that one thing, the sexual visibility. And I think it's important to bring that up because I think a lot of people feel that. A lot of guys feel that. They feel completely sexually invisible.
Right.
Especially in your age group and a little bit younger than you as well.
Sure.
Right now. It hurts, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, a big part of... There were moments, like, I wasn't always surrounded by even guys, too. I was mostly isolated, but I had pockets of community throughout. But as specifically in the dating thing, it was like, pushing a boulder up a hill type of a thing. And then all of a sudden, this 1 year, it just completely turned upside down.
What about with Vietnamese girls?
I mean, it would work, but it's not like, I mean, as a white dude living in fucking Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
You get the opportunities just like that.
It's easier.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's...
Because of genetic difference. I think there's a primal desire for genetic.
Yeah, but there's also like a big generalization when it comes to Asian girls and white dudes sort of a thing. So like, the Asian girls just wouldn't jump at me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And especially now, like for some reason, I'm like out of there.
So it's even worse now.
Yeah.
As far as Asian girls go.
Yeah.
The reason why I brought up the Southeast Asian versus not is because when English people say Asian, they mean Sri Lankan. They mean
really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
And I speak to you so much that I forgot.
Oh, really?
So you know my ex. A guy walked up to me in the gym. He was like, "All right, Richie, lad, how are you doing?" Yeah, I'm sound. I seen you with your ex-bird in here, that Asian girl. And I was like, the Chinese ex-girlfriend, mate, I've not been with her for 12 years.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't mean that. He saw, my ex is slightly Middle Eastern, so he thought other Asian.
I see.
But where we're from, Asian is just that. It's
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. But in America, it's not.
No.
No, it would mean Vietnamese, Korean,
Chinese, whatever.
Yeah. So as far as that goes, then, so that switch, that flipped for you, and then you became the Flip Lord.
I became the Flip Lord because a lot of them had insulted me by saying I was a fuckboy because I had rejected this woman.
Right.
And then from there, I was just like, you keep calling me that? Yeah. I'm gonna be that. So then I became it. I adopted that persona.
Yeah.
Because it was almost painted on me. And then I did what that persona would do, which is flip.
Do you know that when I met you, I genuinely didn't know what a fuckboy was?
Oh yeah, you asked what it was. You didn't even know what it was.
No idea.
Yeah.
Can you explain for people who are maybe a little bit older like myself, what is a fuckboy?
Just like a player.
Why is that an insult?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know what that means. You are successful in fulfilling a life strategy that is genetically encoded into you. Applaud me then, dummy. Like, you're a fuckboy.
I think it's supposed to be like a substitute for asshole. He's an asshole.
Well,
he's a player.
Isn't sort of sexual frustration baked into the cake of the insult then? You're only a fuckboy if you're fucking somebody else. I'm not going to call you a fuckboy if you're fucking me. I'm being a woman in this scenario.
That's very philosophical. But
Right?
yes,
There's some zen to that. I got fuckboy zen on that.
Yeah,
one.
that is it.
That's got to be sexual frustration.
Of course.
If he's fucking, if he's fucking me, then good. I'm not going to say he's a fuckboy. I'll just be like, no, you just don't understand him.
Yes.
Behind the tattoos, there's a lot of pain.
Yeah, so it was just a mixture of this all the time, this love-hate back and forth. One says they hate, the one that they don't, or the one that says they hate, they like, and the one that says they like, they hate is just like constant.
Contradiction.
Yeah, so I don't know where this conversation's leading, but I'm assuming of like talking about the outcome of all this.
Yes, please.
Yes, which is like being thrusted.
Oh, daddy.
Since we're talking about it. It's being thrusted in this fucking tornado of constant love-hate.
Right.
Drama being perceived as like one thing or the other while the other thing's happening. It's a lot psychologically to maintain.
So now I want you to double down on, now you're going to get hated by men. For a different reason though. Can you talk patronizingly and condescendingly to men who've not experienced this, how actually it's not as fun as you would think? If you're looking in at the candy shop and you think, I really want some fucking candy, you'd think the guy inside the candy shop is having an amazing time. But where was it not?
So the best way that I could describe it in a relatable scenario where I'm at today is that I play a fuck ton of video games now.
Right.
That's pretty much all I do.
You've gone back to the video.
I literally went back to my old self.
Right.
Female-less, playing video games all the time.
By choice.
By choice.
You went MGTOW.
MGTOW, sort of.
MGTOW.
Yeah, but imagine like, I think a lot of, eventually, gamers go through this thing of like, you can actually afford any game. You go on the Steam sale and you can just buy any game you could ever want. Then you realize all of the games have a similar thing and it's not providing you the sense of fun when you just had a game or two that you really were passionate about.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you don't get any buzz out of owning these 50 games and you lose your appeal to play these things. And then it just causes you more trouble in the end by like spending the money and all this other stuff. And in my case, it's like, I fucking loved it when it first came through. It's like a drug. It's like you have a drug.
Yeah.
You know, and you're in this honeymoon period with this line, this injection, this pipe, whatever the hell else. But
you were rocking your pipe.
Yes, rocking the pipe.
The frog with a hog.
Yeah, frog with a hog. But yeah, so it's never just good things. It's never just sunshine and rainbows the whole time. Like hearts get broken, you know.
Did your heart get broken in that process?
I mean, probably. Like it goes both ways.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's unsafe to a certain degree. Then you get wrapped up in these emotional drama. You get wrapped up in emotional drama. Then everyone's kind of like doesn't really fully like you, but they don't fully hate you. So you never really know who you are in relation to other people because it's like a constant mixture of love and hate all the time. It's a tornado, man, you know?
I've never lived the experience that you lived, but I had periods in my life where I would say, generally if I compare, doing the psychology thing, like can you contrast between different scenarios, where I was more promiscuous, from the outside, you'd say, as a sexual strategy, that's success. And sorry, successful. It's a successful sexual strategy, and I'm only saying like success because your body rewards you.
Yeah.
You get like serotonin. You get you're high. It's like this narcissistic supply you're getting from the validation. But I can also correlate those periods with emotional dysregulation.
Yes.
Like I don't know. Maybe it's like taking Coke or drinking or something. There is a hangover from it.
It's better and worse.
Right.
The reason why is, like you said, this validation, because we're, as men, built to have a sexual partner, and we generally work our lives to be validated for that value. It's like, wow, my genetic code is good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm accepted that I can produce more of me.
Me, procreation, win.
Yeah, so at the deepest core of our primitive programming, it's like this is the very essence of what makes you valid as a human being, you know? And you're constantly, if you're in that cycle, you're in that similar feedback loop of, wow, I belong here. This is it. This is like, you know what I mean? And then it's so reliant on an external source, like people, like validation with people and emotional stimulation with people, where it's like you're hitting a pipe. It's just like, that's just a pipe. That's a substance. But then now you're getting like positive feedback with others, and then your social life gets reliant on that, and then all of these other things that end up biting you in the ass.
Do you think, was there any, at any point for you, any guilt? Was there like a conscience thing kicked in where, you know, sometimes somebody will say to you, I know you're a fuckboy. I just want sex.
Yeah.
But you kind of feel like that's not quite true.
But that came on later.
The guilt?
Not the guilt, but the awareness of that.
You weren't aware of it at first.
No.
You just believed people when they said, yeah, just sex is fine.
I don't know if it's like an autistic trait or something, but I have a tendency to believe things very literally when people say things.
I think it's youth. I think
it's youth, maybe some ignorance or whatever else. But like when I heard people say, oh yeah, no strings attached. This is this. I just like you for this. There's just nothing more than that.
Well, why don't you try it?
Marry one then. That's exactly what I believed, because that's what they said. Yeah. And then as more experience comes in and realizing the trail of tears and dust that I've like left behind, I'm like, well, they were lying. No, not so much lying, but lying.
Yeah. Maybe to themselves even. Maybe,
You're right.
Maybe inside their own heads, they're like, oh, I'm in a phase of my life, I want to experience new things. This is fun, it's a bit bohemian, it's a bit wild, let's do this. Yeah, I really just want that. Oh, I did that. And now my feelings are telling my cognition something different.
Right. Exactly. So whether you classify that as a lie or not, that's what happened, because that ended up happening after patterns and continuing this process, realizing that maybe it's not what just people say is exactly what they believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it's different for men than it is for women? Do you think women bond more to men they're having sex with, or they bond more easily than men do?
I think like a lot of people say generally like women have the biological thing, but might meet some simpy ass motherfucking dude.
Yeah.
Just like getting attached like nothing
100%.
Just from getting their hand held.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
you wouldn't make that gendered, what do you call that? Generalization, a gender generalization.
Yeah, like maybe not so much, just because. I mean, you have seen it. I've seen it. Guys that just like after a handhold.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, or just like fucking dudes that you see like obsessed with Twitch streamers, like licking microphone ears. You know.
I think generally speaking, there's a tendency in our culture to talk about men as though they're all Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. We're obsessed with that archetype.
It's so off, man.
And there's tons of simpy dudes who, offer holding hands, or maybe they didn't even hold hands. They just had a conversation. She's the one. She's like, fucking, I'd throw away everything in that goal.
Right.
Really?
But I think it's a majority of dudes that act like that.
So okay, that's interesting. So if you were going to make a generalization, you'd say actually most men are probably more like that, bonding very quickly with women.
Yes, but the thing is, if I make another generalization, the women are obviously not attracted to them. Most of the dating pool for most women are on the lines of more Patrick Bateman, right?
Yeah.
The ones that are
Oh, the sexy ones?
the sexy ones, the bad boys, the whoever the fuck us,
It's
you
us.
know.
It's talking about us.
So then most of their shut up. So most of their dating pool is just these types,
Yeah.
and that's what they're frustrated about because they couldn't like have it work out with that type of dude.
Right.
So,
So when they say men, they're actually talking about
those dudes,
the top,
yeah,
super hot, rich guys. Okay, so here's a bit of Adlerian psychology. I didn't know we were going to go here today. So then, do you think is it possible then that it's about opportunity? If you have more opportunity, you're less clingy, and if you have less opportunity, you're more clingy.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, yeah.
So it's not about emotion then. It's not about genetics. It's not about emotion. It's not about all these things that we talk about in psychology and in culture. It's actually just about something much more business or economics. The economics is if you have 20 options, you're going to be less clingy than if you only have one.
Generally, yes. Maybe there is an element of emotion where one of them stands out over the others. That can still happen. But like in a mathematical format, yeah, if you have more options, why would you be clingy with just one, right? Unless there is genuinely something more emotional there.
Yeah. I haven't thought this through enough yet, but I don't have a strong opinion, particularly either way. But other than say, I think we should explore that kind of thing more. Instead of going, oh, men are like this, women are like that, or it's a biological or a genetic. I'm like, what about environment? Just what about circumstances?
Right.
Like, when are you clingy about food? When you didn't eat for fucking 8 hours.
Right.
You're really clingy then.
Yeah.
If you just ate and I put a buffet in front of you, you don't even want to look at it.
Yeah, that's interesting. No one brings up circumstances.
Right.
I think that's a huge factor, man.
Only Adler, and we never talk. People watching this, most people won't even know who Adler is. Adler looked more at like lifestyle, life story, circumstances. I wanted to ask you about your more recent YouTube experience because, in my humble opinion, from the little I know of psychology, I think YouTube's actually traumatized you.
Yeah, yes.
Genuinely, like you actually have PTSD. That sounds so fucking millennial. Like this poor millennial was traumatized by his YouTube platform.
Yes.
Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Maybe this will be my life path in the future, doing TED Talks of social media trauma, maybe something like that.
That'll be a thing.
But to frame it in a way that makes that hopefully that we can take more seriously. It does sound like a kid playing with a toy, then the toy like stabs him on accident.
And he just has a nervous breakdown.
Yes, but think about it like this, in this framing, where YouTube was just more than silly videos. It was a community building, artistic, expressive format.
Can I just fortify your position? YouTube describes itself as a community. They have community guidelines. They don't describe themselves as a video sharing platform.
Yes.
Sorry.
So if you frame YouTube as a village, right? And then for me personally, I know you use it very differently because you approach it more business-like and whatever else. I'm more of an artistic person, and this was my way of doing something that I absolutely feel like I was brought on earth to do, which is to make creative work, whether that be a video or a song, whatever else. YouTube was the community that where I could do what I felt like I was born to do and have people hopefully see it and appreciate it and then build a community from that thing. Every human needs a tribe. Every person needs a community to feel like they belong. And everyone also needs to figure out what they're good at and what they're made to do and then be validated for what they can do well.
Yeah.
Damn.
Damn.
Write that down. So
you cut that out afterwards.
Yeah.
That's a YouTube short for you right there.
Exactly. So I think that's a fairly universal truth. Whether you are a plumber or you're an engineer or electrician, like that's what you're made to do. And if people pay you to do it and you get their house running well, then that's exactly what you're validated for.
Yes.
YouTube for me was that same thing. Ever since this cultural shift really started happening, the community that I had gathered, a ton of people who I felt like were just artistic lost souls, I realized very quickly that they were more so politically and ideologically infected. And this ideology tends to push for bullying anyone who doesn't believe exactly what they believe.
Right.
And very quickly did I see my own audience turning against myself and anybody even related to me, that whatever I was supposed to do on YouTube, express myself passionately and creatively, had no longer a value to the original community that I thought was there for me.
So if you wanted to sing a song about a girl and you spent time on this song of this girl that you really like and you released it, you would be hounded for not doing a video about, I don't know, the Yemen or Ukraine or whatever the issue du jour was.
Exactly. So, for example, we can bring up Ukraine. I won't go too crazy about it, but if you're in the zeitgeist of the Ukrainian hysteria and you decided to release a poolside song, it would be like, what are you doing? Do you realize that right next door there's a bomb being dropped on this and this? Why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk? So then it becomes so flattening for anyone who just does something else.
Yeah.
You make a painting, you do this. It's like, why didn't you make your painting about this crisis? Why didn't you make your song about famine? Why didn't you do this about this? Why didn't you do this about this?
Why do you think it's gone that way?
One of my theories, out of many of them, is that generally with youth culture or anybody who's interested in the arts or whatever, or social media arts more so, not like classical definition, but it's very of the moment and trend based. And anybody who wants to fit and not be ostracized generally talk or display themselves as a part of the whatever the cultural wave is at the moment.
Right.
But it just so happens that around this time, with all of the political uncertainty and social uncertainty, that's the zeitgeist that's allowing for people to feel like they can be validated and they're a part of a community.
Is through signaling about whatever cultural or political issue is going on that week.
Yes, yes. And I think before the signaling was more so about maybe some rapper that they enjoyed or a makeup artist that they liked.
We both love 21 Savage, let's be friends.
Yes.
Now it's how you feel about that issue, that place, that crisis or whatever. That's the thing.
Right. And even socially, you talk about maybe the trans stuff, the LGBT stuff, that became part of a cultural youth zeitgeist as well. So instead of like wearing a black shirt and having hair covering an eye, you can be validated for being an emo kid. You can be validated for whatever your sexuality is and being a part of it as well.
What effect has that had on you?
I've always just wanted to make creative stuff for the sake of that. I never wanted to use it for a political platform, to make stuff, to make a social, ideological statement. And even in a physical sense, I used to have hair twice as long. I used to wear twice as more makeup, not because I wanted to identify with an identification of an identification. I liked 80s goth stuff. The Cure was my favorite band. I really enjoyed Prince and Michael Jackson. And they were primarily artists. Did you hear them and Bowie? Did they scream, I identify with the I do identify with this? They never even once mentioned what they identified with ever. That was part of the visual aesthetic for this cultural movement. That's purely what I was about, nothing more. Now, by presenting myself in a similar fashion, those elements have become synonymous with a political idea, with a social ideological idea. And I don't want any part of it because it's gotten so crazy, so bullying, so authoritarian that I don't want to even signal myself as a part of this group.
Even if you agree with what they're actually saying?
Well, it depends what they're saying.
Depends on what, but there are some issues, their take on certain issues, like the orthodox take on certain, like maybe Ukraine, for example. You might actually largely agree with what they're saying, but because they're saying it in such a dickish way, you'd rather just not be involved in it at all.
Exactly. So that's an example, or maybe some LGBT stuff. Like, I mean, look at me. do I look like a type of fucking person that would be like, you gay, you stupid?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're going to go out and start attacking
Yeah.
people for their
Right.
sexuality.
I mean, I was a drama theater kid, artistic, whatever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my heroes were gay. You know,
Yeah.
like whatever.
You would be a strange choice for homophobia.
Yeah, exactly.
It's possible, but you wouldn't automatically
It wouldn't be the
think
first
that.
person. However, that group of people, not LGBT, but the more extremist radical people, it's like you'll see them pointing fingers at random strangers saying they're homophobes for what? I don't do that. Like, I don't want to, you're a homophobe because you didn't do this when you posted this. You have a rainbow flag on your bio? No, you do. But when it becomes authoritarian and bullying and interfering, that's farthest from what I want to be about. I have a whole video where I literally talk about how I was perceived as gay all the time. And it was just because of the physical appearance and stereotypes. But now with all of this other stuff happening, why can't people just be gay? Why can't they just be lesbian, whatever else? But without the
The accusations and the inquisition.
You don't like the thing. You don't do this. You don't do that.
Yeah. You have to submit to the orthodoxy. So as far as that goes, do you see this as a trend towards authoritarianism, bullying, and orthodoxy, or do you just think this is our future?
I mean, one thing that I've accepted is that it's very hard to predict anything these days, because sometimes we think we have a prediction and then it goes the complete opposite way. Perhaps it is just a fad that just dissipates from the amount of neurotic pressure that we get living under it. I hope that people will just get fatigued and then everything gets more loose again. Or maybe it goes the opposite way, where people just want more and more cultural authoritarianism, and then everyone gets under control over this stuff.
I looked at the podcast we did last night where we reviewed What is a Woman? We were talking about the transgender issue. Largely, the feedback was positive. Where it's negative, there was a lot of people saying that you don't understand the necessity for this, because I think they were trying to say we have to they say educate, not indoctrinate people on this to generate acceptance. Do you think that actually does generate any sort of acceptance?
No, it's made me reject so much of it. Personally, for me, I was supposed to be the vanguard for this stuff, and now I just don't want any part of it. I have almost a violent rejection to a lot of this stuff these days.
So you don't consider yourself an ally?
For whatever that new wave of stuff is, hell no. Like, far from it.
Are you an ally of anything now?
No. Not really, no.
Yeah, I've given up all my allyship aspirations.
Like, I will still stick to my values. I still don't put up with racism.
Right.
I still think people should accept gay people.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Do I need to, stab a flagpole down someone's throat to make that a point? You know? Like, Jesus.
I have to kill you to make you kinder.
Right.
Seems to be
if basically, my general principle is that if I have to bully people to make them nicer, then I'm not a part of it.
Right.
If I want to bully people, it's because I want to fuck them up.
Yeah.
It's not because I want to make them nicer. Just own it.
Yeah,
if you really do want to bully people, say that you want to mess someone up.
Yeah, mean. I like causing pain and I'm a sadist.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm trying to make the world a better place, because it never makes the world a better place. What do you see as being the future for your YouTube channel? I know that this is a traumatic question.
I mean, to be honest, man, these days, I just want to approach it almost similar to you. I want to make just stuff that feeds a potential business, treat it more like a job, perhaps. I'm really resistant on revealing anything too personal these days, or trying to use it to fix the world or some social issue or some event.
Do you think that's what YouTube actually wants? I've wondered if maybe YouTube was taken over by a corporation in 2012, and it's become steadily more and more corporate over the last 10 years. And I thought, fuck it, I'll just throw in the towel and just run it as a business then. And then I was thinking, maybe YouTube wants that.
Well, they do, because technically what they promote is unboxing videos, ASMR videos, makeup tutorials, stuff that is just unproblematic or uncontroversial, because that's just easy money without media backlash.
So even though we know that they are woke and that ideologically they lean in some areas towards radical leftism, maybe that's something we could say that's positive about YouTube. They actually would prefer it if we were all apolitical. If we just kept politics off it.
When you frame it like that, that's very interesting, yeah.
From a business point of view, like if I was running YouTube, I'd just be like, oh, for fuck's sake. Because they have to control it.
Yeah.
And if you said to me, if I'm running YouTube, we can press this button, nobody's going to post about politics again, but you'll still make money. I'd say push the fucking button.
And you know, this is everything coming full circle. Because before this whole thing happened, it only was silly content or just non-political content.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point where we started intellectualizing a lot, right? And then and we're like, you know, we need to stop with this dumb content. We need to talk about the issues that matter. We got to make a point. We really have to say something about something you care about. Then we're trying it now.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing what that really leads to, which is really nothing. You're just angry all the time.
Just making it worse, yeah.
And then now we're back to full circle, almost realizing that just kind of the apolitical type of less stressful content seems to be almost a revolutionary thing these days.
As a user, as a consumer, I really appreciate it if I can learn about something and maybe laugh.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, just go, that's interesting, I didn't know that, or I did know that, but that's a fresh perspective on a subject I did know about, and you made me not even laugh, just go, once. I'd say thank you, YouTube creator, at that point.
Yeah. I think that's the natural state of how things are supposed to be. Not overly political, just sometimes there's a lot to talk about that isn't.
Right. That isn't political, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a deliberate agenda to politicize everything at this point?
Maybe, maybe not, but it is.
It is politicizing everything, yeah, whether it's deliberate or not.
Yeah.
So what would you most like to do next? This is my final question for you. What would PierreXO most love to do next?
I mean, in an idealistic world where everything just turns out okay, I would have like a rival Marvel DC studio where I would make comics and cartoons and short movies about a cyberpunk dystopian universe.
Nice, with some really cool, weird characters.
Yeah.
Nice, man.
Idealistically, that would be cool.
If a crazy billionaire funds that, can I please play one of these weird cyborg bounty hunters?
You can be the racist dictator.
Oh my God. I would fucking love that. And I could play it so well because it's basically just play yourself.
You don't have to act.
There's no acting involved. Just, Richard, say what you would really love to say, but I'd be protected because afterwards I go, no, that's just sci-fi. It's just a character and I could really get it all out.
Yes. Dream role for the both of us, man.
Mr. PierreXO, thank you for coming in today.
Indeed.
It's been a pleasure. Where can people follow you? Where's the best place for them to follow you?
Nowhere. I quit. I'm kidding.
Nowhere. I quit.
I quit everything. Fuck off. I'm done with this shit. PierreXO, just Google it. You'll find me in a lot of places.
Very nice. Ladies and gents, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. And I look forward to speaking to you all again very soon. Cheers.